Hello and welcome into Hawkeye Game Day. I'm Nate Dreyer, joined alongside by Lucas Frymick and Zeb Wilson, and we've got a lot of stories to cover throughout the entire world of Hamilton sports, as well as previewing a basketball game between the Wayland Union Wildcats and the Hamilton Hawkeyes later tonight. But we started out with the obvious here. It is Star Wars night, tonight coinciding with the release of the new Star Wars movie. So, as you can see, both the crowd behind us as well as the three of us up here, and especially Zeb, got to hand it to you. We're all here in Star Wars apparel. I'm sure many back there might be going to the movie tonight, and I think there's a lot of excitement from that. And speaking of excitement, we'll move into the girls' basketball, and what they've seen so far, they're off to a solid 3-1 start. They got off to a 3-0 start, lost a tough game at West Ottawa last Tuesday. And I'll start with you, Lucas. Just what are some of your general thoughts, what you've seen with this team so far this year? Obviously, the girls not in action tonight, but they will be in action during Christmas break. They've got a tournament, so a lot of development we may see coming up in the future with that. And we're going to move on now from the girls into other Hamilton sports and different news going on. And before we dive into some of the winter sports happening right now, one of the big storylines that we were the first to break here at Covering Hawkeye Sports was the news that there obviously was a coaching vacancy with the football team, and Chris Myers has been rehired as the head coach of the team. He coached the team first from 2001 to 2012, put up a 79-44 record, so I think a lot of success coming there, and I think there will be a lot more that we'll talk about with that from CHS moving forward, but definitely the big story of the week. But we'll now continue to keep it moving here, and we'll move on to wrestling. And this is another young team. We see a lot of young teams throughout Hamilton right now, and I think they're coming off the Cry Invite, really big event last Saturday. Had another event on Wednesday where they kind of struggled. Zeb, can you kind of speak on this team and what you've seen out of them so far? Sorry, obviously a lot of winning pedigree with that program. They've been able to develop players. They graduated so many key members to that team a year ago, and I think you're going to see them continue to grow throughout this year, absolutely. Also, other sports going on, competitive cheer going on right now. They've competed in 2 meets. They placed 4th in their first meet, and then they actually had their first conference meet last Wednesday. They play in the OK Green/Gold Conference because obviously there's fewer teams. One of the problems with that is they have other Division I schools, a lot bigger schools that are in that conference. So they took 7th out of 11, and you looked at it, and based on some conversations we've had with those inside the team, they are doing well so far in kind of the first 2 rounds, but in the 3rd round they've had struggles. Can you kind of talk more about what you've heard and seen out of that team so far? So definitely we can see a storyline developing really across Hamilton sports right now of young teams that are trying to develop, and once again to segue with that, a young team, the boys team, and we'll move on to them now. They're 1-1. They beat Hopkins to start the year at home. They then went into Granville and lost and really struggled in that game. Can you kind of, Luke, talk and get a start on what you've seen out of that team so far, especially offensively with some of the struggles there? And additionally, with that young team, one of the key things we've seen and that we've kind of mentioned is 2 freshmen making this team in Brad Osborne and Jacob Vischer. Can you kind of talk to how they've performed this year and what sort of impact, Zeb, they've made and will probably continue to make in terms of their development as the year goes along?
The post play is going to be in pretty good hands.
Yes, Brad Osborne has just been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, one of the key things, and you talked about kind of the shooting woes, the fact that they've been running their offense well. You talked to Coach Havernick about that last game, and he said he really felt they ran their offense well. They limited turnovers. They just could not knock down shots. One of the question marks is Dylan Unk, team shooting guard. He's obviously will spend most of his time as one of the most deadly snipers on this team. He knocked down 3 3-pointers right at the start of the last game. He's been, dealing with a bit of a wrist injury. How much do you think now this is going to force the other guards to step up with him dealing with this? Okay, now here's the part of the show everyone's been waiting for. We're going to run through our game picks throughout the OK Green Conference, starting with Holland Christian, who's going on the road into Grand Rapids Christian. I'll start with my pick. I think this is a game Grand Rapids Christian. They're 2-0. I think they can win this game. They've battled through some tough games. They have the home court advantage. I think Grand Rapids Christian takes this one. Next, we have Holland going into Grand Rapids West Catholic. This is a game that I think basketball is a sport that you see one-man team, one-man playmakers really can come in. Demetrius Lake is a playmaker. He's already dropped 44 in a game this year, averaged almost 25 a year ago. I think Demetrius Lake is the X factor. Holland wins this game. Lastly, we come to our game, the Wayland Union Wildcats, getting ready to visit the Hamilton Hawkeyes here tonight. This is a tough game for the Hawkeyes, period. We've talked about their struggles defensively. Wayland can really press. Wayland is one of the top teams in the area, period. While I obviously want the Hawkeyes to win, I just have this feeling, you look at Wayland, I think they might just slightly be the superior team. I've got Wayland in this game over the Hawkeyes. There you go. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Hawkeye Game Day. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, may the force be with the Hawkeyes tonight. Thanks again.